I found my wife's diary, hidden in our bedroom, but what I read inside shattered my heart. My name is David Mitchell, and I thought I knew everything about my wife, Sarah. We had been married for 8 years, together for 10. We met in college, fell in love over late-night study sessions and cheap coffee, and built what I believed was an unbreakable bond. She was my best friend, my partner, my everything. But sometimes the people we think we know best are the ones hiding the deepest secrets. I'm an accountant at a mid-sized firm in downtown Portland. It's stable work, good pay, benefits that allow us to live comfortably in our Victorian house in the suburbs. Sarah works as a graphic designer from home, freelancing for various clients. We have a good life, or so I thought. We have date nights every Friday. We split the household chores fairly. We communicate about everything. At least, that's what I believed. Looking back now, I can see the signs I missed. The way Sarah started dressing differently about 6 months ago. More colorful, more artistic. The new yoga classes she'd started attending 3 times a week. The phone she'd suddenly become protective of, angling it away when I walked past. The distant look in her eyes during dinner, as if her mind was somewhere else entirely. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning, from that Tuesday morning that changed everything. It was a regular Tuesday morning in July when my world started to crumble. I was running late for work, frantically searching for my watch that I was sure I'd left on the nightstand. Sarah had already left for her morning yoga class, something she'd started doing about 6 months ago. "It helps me clear my mind," she'd said with that beautiful smile of hers. "All that sitting at the computer. I need to move my body, you know." I'd been supportive, of course. I'm always supportive. That's who I am. That's who I've always been. I tore through the bedroom, checking drawers, looking under the bed, rifling through my sock drawer, getting more frustrated by the second. I had an important client meeting at 9, and I was already running 15 minutes behind. That's when I saw it. A corner of something leather peeking out from beneath a loose floorboard near Sarah's side of the bed. We'd lived in this old Victorian house for 3 years, and I'd never noticed that board was loose. The house had been a fixer-upper when we bought it, and we'd slowly been renovating it room by room. The bedroom had been one of the first rooms we'd completed together, spending weekends painting walls and refinishing the hardwood floors. I remembered Sarah being particular about that corner of the room, insisting we place her nightstand right there. At the time, I thought she just liked the way the morning light came through the window. Now I wondered if there was another reason. Curiosity got the better of me. I pulled at the board, and it came up easily, as if it had been lifted many times before. The wood didn't even creak. Inside the small space, about 6 inches deep, was a brown leather journal, worn at the edges, clearly well used. The leather was soft, supple, the kind that comes from years of handling. There was also a small photograph tucked beside it, Sarah, smiling in a way I hadn't seen in months, standing next to a man I didn't recognize. He had dark hair, an artistic beard, kind eyes. His hand was on her shoulder. My heart started racing. Who was this man? Why would Sarah hide a photograph? And why would she hide a diary? We told each other everything, didn't we? I set the photograph aside, my hands trembling slightly, and picked up the journal. It was heavier than I expected, filled with pages upon pages of Sarah's familiar handwriting. That handwriting I'd seen on birthday cards, grocery lists, notes left on the refrigerator. But I'd never seen it like this. Pages and pages of her innermost thoughts, hidden from me. I knew I shouldn't read it. I knew it was a violation of privacy, the kind of thing that could irreversibly damage trust. But my hands were already opening the cover, and my eyes were already scanning the first page. The date at the top read, January 15th, 2024, 7 months ago. January 15th, 2024. I can't keep pretending anymore. Every day gets harder. Every smile I give David feels like a lie. I love him, I do, but I'm not in love with him anymore. Maybe I never was. Maybe I just loved the idea of him. The stability, the safety, the predictable future. But is that enough? Is safety enough when your heart feels dead? I turned 32 last week. David threw me a surprise party. He invited all our friends, decorated the house with balloons, ordered my favorite cake from that bakery across town. He did everything right, everything perfect, and I felt nothing. I smiled and thanked everyone and blew out the candles, and inside I felt like I was dying. Is this what the rest of my life looks like? Birthday parties and dinner parties and weekend trips to wine country. The same conversations, the same routines, the same safe, boring life until we're 80. I look at David sometimes and I wonder, when did he stop seeing me? Really seeing me? When did I become just another part of his well-organized life, like his gym membership or his retirement account? I stopped breathing, the watch forgotten, the meeting forgotten, everything forgotten, except the words on the page. I sank onto the bed, the diary trembling in my hands. This had to be some kind of mistake, some creative writing exercise, a character study for one of her design projects, anything but what it appeared to be. But I knew Sarah's handwriting. I knew the way she crossed her T's and looped her G's. This was real. My mind reeled back to her birthday party. I'd spent weeks planning it, making sure everything was perfect. I'd noticed she seemed a bit quiet that night, but I'd attributed it to being overwhelmed by the surprise. She'd hugged me afterward and said it was the best birthday ever. She'd lied, right to my face. January 18th, 2024. I started going to a different coffee shop this week. I told David it's because the old one got too crowded, but really I just needed a change. I needed somewhere that wasn't part of our routine, our life, our predictable patterns. The new place is called The Wandering Cup. It's more artistic, more alive. There are paintings on the walls by local artists, poetry readings on Thursday nights, live music on weekends. David would hate it. Too noisy, too crowded, too unpredictable. But I love it. I feel like I can breathe there. January 22nd, 2024, I saw Marcus at the coffee shop again today. He smiled at me and I felt something I haven't felt in years. Butterflies. Actual butterflies. I'm 32 years old, married, and I'm getting butterflies over a stranger's smile. What does that say about my marriage? What does that say about me? He was sitting in the corner, sketching something in a notebook. I ordered my latte and tried not to stare, but I couldn't help myself. When I turned to leave, he looked up and our eyes met. "Great coffee, right?" he said. "The best," I replied. That was it. Just 5 words. But I replayed that conversation in my head all day. David asked me tonight if everything was okay. I said I was fine, just thinking about a design project. Another lie. Marcus. Who the hell was Marcus? I looked at the photograph again, at the man with the artistic beard and kind eyes. This was him. This was the man who had smiled at my wife and given her butterflies. January 25th, 2024. His name is Marcus Chen. I know because I heard the barista call out his order today. He teaches art at Portland Community College and spends his mornings at the Wandering Cup grading papers or working on his own paintings. I've been timing my coffee runs to match his schedule. I tell myself it's innocent, just friendly faces in a coffee shop. But I know I'm lying to myself. Today he asked if I wanted to join him. Just like that, casual, easy, as if we were old friends. I hesitated. I should have said no. I should have made an excuse and left. But I said yes. January 28th, 2024. We've talked 3 times now. Real conversations, not the surface-level chit-chat I have with David's colleagues at dinner parties. Marcus asked me what I'm passionate about, and I realized I couldn't remember the last time anyone asked me that. David knows I'm a graphic designer, but he's never asked what drives me, what makes me excited to create. Marcus and I talked about art and design and the difference between making things that are beautiful versus making things that matter. He showed me some of his paintings, raw, emotional pieces about identity and belonging. He's Korean American, and his work explores the space between cultures. I felt seen today, really seen. Not as David's wife or someone's daughter or a designer who meets deadlines. Just seen as Sarah, as me. My hands were shaking now. I wanted to stop reading, to put the diary back and pretend I'd never found it. But I couldn't. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. Horrifying, but impossible to look away. February 3rd, 2024. Marcus and I talked for an hour today. He's an artist, teaches at the community college. He sees the world so differently than David does. David is all spreadsheets and retirement plans and safety. Marcus talks about passion, about really living, about taking risks. When did David and I stop dreaming? When did we become so boring? I told Marcus about my marriage today. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to say it out loud to someone. He listened without judgment, without trying to fix anything. He just listened. "Do you love him?" Marcus asked. "I don't know," I said. "I thought I did, but maybe I just love the life we built." "Maybe that's not the same thing." Marcus nodded like he understood. "Sometimes the hardest thing is admitting that what we wanted at 22 isn't what we need at 32, he said. "I've been thinking about that all night." Boring? She thought we were boring. I thought we were stable. I thought we were happy. I thought we were building a life together. I remembered that conversation we'd had in February. She'd seemed distant, distracted. I'd asked if everything was okay, and she'd said she was fine, just stressed about work. I'd offered to help, to take on more of the household responsibilities so she could focus on her projects. She'd smiled and said I was sweet, and I'd felt like a good husband. I'd had no idea she was comparing me to another man. I'd had no idea I was losing her. February 10th, 2024. I'm falling for him. I know I shouldn't be. I know it's wrong on every level, but I can't seem to stop myself. Marcus asked me to come to his studio today. He wanted to show me a new series he's working on. I told David I had a client meeting, another lie to add to the growing pile. His studio is this amazing loft space in the Pearl District. High ceilings, huge windows, paintings everywhere. It smelled like oil paint and turpentine and creativity. We talked about art for hours. He asked about my design work, really asked, wanted to see my portfolio, my passion projects, the things I create just for myself. David has never asked to see my portfolio, not once in 8 years. I had to stop reading. I stood up, paced the room, my heart pounding. She was right. I'd never asked to see her portfolio. I knew she was talented, her clients loved her work, and she made good money. But I'd never thought to ask about the creative side, the passion behind what she did. I'd treated her work like I treated my own, a job, a source of income, a practical necessity. When had I stopped being curious about her? When had I stopped asking questions? February 14th, 2024, Valentine's Day. David got me roses and made reservations at our usual restaurant. The same restaurant we go to every year. The same flowers. The same card with the same sweet but predictable message. To my beautiful wife, thank you for another amazing year. I love you more each day. Love, David. I smiled and thanked him, and felt absolutely nothing. We went to Giovanni's. We always go to Giovanni's on Valentine's Day. We sat at the same table we sat at last year, and the year before that. David ordered the chicken parmesan. I ordered the seafood linguine. Same meals, same wine, same conversations about work and the neighbors, and plans to repaint the guest room. Marcus texted me today. Just a simple, Happy Valentine's Day, with a heart emoji. It shouldn't have meant anything, but it meant everything. I excused myself to the bathroom and cried. Then I fixed my makeup and went back to the table and told David the food was delicious. I had to put the diary down. I walked to the bathroom and splashed cold water on my face, staring at my reflection. When had I become the villain in my own love story? When had trying to be a good husband become boring? When had stability become a prison? I thought about that Valentine's Day. I'd been so proud of myself for remembering to make the reservation a week in advance, for getting the roses delivered to her office so her co-workers would see them. I'd thought she was happy. She'd smiled all night, laughed at my jokes, held my hand across the table. She'd been crying in the bathroom, thinking about another man. But I went back. I had to know how deep this went. I had to know if my marriage was already over, or if there was still something left to fight for. March 1st, 2024. I kissed Marcus today. We met at his studio. I told David I was at yoga, and we talked and laughed, and then suddenly we were kissing. I haven't felt alive like that in years. I know it's wrong. I know I'm betraying David, but God, it feels so right. The room spun. My wife was having an affair. My Sarah, my faithful, loving wife, was cheating on me. March 15th, 2024. I'm living two lives now. There's the life with David, dinner at 7, Netflix on weekends, sex twice a month like clockwork, the same conversations about the same topics. With Marcus, spontaneous adventures, deep conversations about art and philosophy. Passion that makes me forget my own name. David asked me today if everything was okay. I said I was fine, just tired from work. He accepted it without question. He always accepts everything I say. Sometimes I wish he'd challenge me, fight with me, feel something intense about me. But he just nods and goes back to his laptop. Tonight, I watched David work on his laptop for 3 hours. He didn't look up once. He didn't ask me about my day. He didn't notice that I'd cut my hair shorter. Marcus noticed immediately when I saw him yesterday. He said I looked beautiful, ran his fingers through my hair, kissed my neck. David hasn't kissed my neck in years. I wanted to throw the diary across the room. I wanted to scream. She wished I'd fight with her. I was trying to be understanding. I was trying to be a good husband. And yes, I'd been working late on the Henderson account, but that was for us, for our future, for the financial stability she claimed to want. But had I noticed her haircut? I tried to remember. Had I even looked at her that day? March 22nd, 2024. Marcus took me to an art gallery opening tonight. I told David I was having drinks with my friend Rachel. Another lie. I'm getting so good at lying. The gallery was full of people I'd never meet in my normal life. Artists, poets, musicians. Marcus introduced me to everyone as Sarah, not as someone's wife, just Sarah. It felt liberating. We drank cheap wine and talked about the paintings, and he held my hand in public. No one there knew I was married. No one there knew about my other life. For a few hours, I was just a woman falling in love. Is it falling in love if you're already married to someone else? Or is it just falling apart? March 28th, 2024. David planned a date night tonight. He made reservations at Giovanni's, our special place. I wanted to tell him I'm tired of Giovanni's, tired of the same routines, but I didn't. I smiled and said it sounded perfect. Throughout dinner, I kept comparing him to Marcus. David talked about work, about his 401k, about whether we should refinish the basement. Marcus talks about dreams and fears and what it means to live authentically. David is planning for 30 years from now. Marcus is living for today. Which one is right, I don't know anymore. April 2nd, 2024. Marcus asked me to leave David. He wants us to be together, really together. He said he's falling in love with me. I didn't say it back, but I think I might be falling too. Is this what love is supposed to feel like? This intensity, this passion? I look at David sometimes and I feel so guilty. He's a good man, he doesn't deserve this. But I can't seem to stop myself. It's like I've been sleepwalking through my life and Marcus woke me up. Come with me, Marcus said today. I've been offered a residency in New Mexico. 3 months, come with me. I laughed. I'm married, Marcus. Then leave him, he said. Choose yourself. Choose what makes you happy. I told him I couldn't. But am I saying I can't or I won't? April 2nd. That was 3 months ago. This had been going on for months and I had no idea. While I was working late, planning our financial future, my wife was being asked to run away to New Mexico with another man. April 10th, 2024. I went to Marcus's place late last night. David was asleep. He always goes to bed at 10 p.m. like clockwork. I drove across town to Marcus's loft and we talked until 3 a.m. about everything and nothing. He asked me what I wanted from life. Not what I should want, not what's practical. What I actually want. I couldn't answer. I realized I haven't thought about what I want in years. It's always been what's smart, what's safe, what makes sense. When did I stop wanting anything? April 15th, 2024. I almost told David today. We were having breakfast, and he was reading the newspaper, and I was looking at him thinking, I should tell him. He deserves to know. But then he smiled at me. That sweet, trusting smile, and asked if I wanted more coffee. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't break his heart over Saturday morning coffee. So I smiled back and said yes to more coffee, and no to the truth. April 20th, 2024. David and I had sex last night. Afterwards, he held me and told me he loved me, and I laid there thinking about Marcus. What kind of person does that make me? I'm a terrible wife, but I can't seem to care enough to stop. I think I need to make a decision soon. I can't keep doing this to David. It's not fair to him. Marcus texted me tonight. I can't stop thinking about you. I texted back, me too. David was sitting right next to me on the couch. At least she had some conscience left. That was something, I supposed. April 28th, 2024. I think I'm going to end it with Marcus. Not because I don't have feelings for him, but because every time I look in the mirror, I hate myself a little more. David brought me flowers yesterday. Just because. I saw them and thought of you, he said. When was the last time Marcus brought me flowers? When was the last time he thought of me when I wasn't right in front of him? Maybe safety isn't boring. Maybe it's just love in a different form. May 5th, 2024. I ended things with Marcus today. Not because I don't love him, I think I do, but because I realized something. I've been blaming David for our marriage dying, but I never tried to save it. I never told him I was unhappy. I never gave him a chance to fight for us. We met at a park, neutral territory. Marcus was hurt, angry. You're choosing the easy way out, he said. You're choosing comfort over happiness. Maybe, I told him. Or maybe I'm choosing commitment over impulse. Maybe I'm choosing the vows I made over the feelings I have. He asked if I loved David. I said I did. He asked if I loved him. I said I did. Then what are you choosing? He asked. I'm choosing the life I promised to build, I said. Even if it's not the one I imagined. Marcus was angry. He said I was choosing safety over happiness again. Maybe he's right. But David is my husband. I made vows. Don't those have to mean something? As I drove away, I watched him in the rearview mirror, standing alone in the park. Part of my heart stayed there with him, but the rest of me drove home to David. My heart lifted slightly. She ended it. She chose me. But she also loved him. She admitted she loved him. Could I live with that? Could I live knowing my wife loved another man but chose to stay with me anyway? May 10th, 2024. I've been trying to reconnect with David, really trying. I suggested we take a weekend trip, try something new. He was so excited, started planning everything immediately. That's David. Always planning, always organizing. Part of me finds it endearing again. Part of me still finds it suffocating. Marcus keeps texting. I haven't responded. I blocked his number, then unblocked it, then blocked it again. It's pathetic. Tonight David asked me what I wanted to do this weekend. I said, surprise me. He looked confused. David doesn't do surprises. David does plans and schedules and itineraries. But he's trying. I can see him trying. May 18th, 2024. David asked me about my work today. Really asked, not just the surface. How was work he usually tosses out. He wanted to see my latest designs. He sat with me for an hour looking at my portfolio, asking questions, telling me which pieces he liked best. I almost cried. It's such a small thing, but it's what I've been wanting for years. Why did I have to have an affair for him to notice me? Or was he always noticing and I just stopped seeing it? May 25th, 2024, David and I went on that trip. We hiked in the Columbia River Gorge, something we haven't done since we were dating. We really talked about everything except the one thing I can't tell him. At one point, we were sitting on a rock overlooking the water, and David said, "I feel like I've been taking you for granted. I'm sorry." I wanted to tell him everything. I wanted to confess and beg for forgiveness. But I couldn't, so I just held his hand and said, "We both have. Let's start over." For moments, I remembered why I fell for him in the first place. He's kind and steady, and he makes me feel safe. But is safe enough? I still don't have the answer. That night in the hotel, we made love. Not sex. Love. For the first time in months, I was fully present. I wasn't thinking about Marcus. I was thinking about this man, my husband, who's trying so hard to reconnect with me. Maybe this is enough. Maybe this is love too. June 3rd, 2024. I saw Marcus today. It wasn't planned. We ran into each other at the grocery store. All those feelings came flooding back. He asked me to meet him, just to talk. I said no, but I wanted to say yes. God, I wanted to say yes. "Are you happy?" he asked me, right there in the produce section. "I'm trying to be," I said. "That's not an answer," he replied. He was right. It's not. June 15th, 2024. I think I'm pregnant. I'm late, and I'm never late. I haven't told David yet. I'm terrified, because I don't know whose baby it might be. The timeline. It could be either of them. What have I done? The diary slipped from my hands and hit the floor with a thud. Pregnant? Our daughter Emma, who was now 3 months old, sleeping peacefully in her nursery down the hall. Might not be mine. I couldn't breathe. The room felt like it was closing in on me. I stood up, paced to the window, looked out at our quiet suburban street. Everything looked normal. Mrs. Henderson was walking her dog. The mailman was making his rounds. The world was continuing as if my life hadn't just imploded. Emma might not be mine. Emma might not be mine. The words repeated in my head like a drumbeat. I thought about every moment since she was born. The first time she grabbed my finger. The first time she smiled at me. The way she reaches for me when she cries. The way she calms down when I hold her. Was all of that a lie? Was I loving a child who wasn't even mine? I picked up the diary with shaking hands, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. June 18th, 2024. I took 3 pregnancy tests, all positive. I did the math over and over. The baby could be David's. The baby could be Marcus's. There's no way to know without a paternity test, and I can't do that without David finding out about everything. I've decided. This baby is David's. It has to be. I'm choosing to believe that, because I can't lose David. I can't destroy our life together. Whatever I felt for Marcus, it's over. This baby is the universe giving me a second chance at my marriage. July 1st, 2024. I told David I'm pregnant. He cried. Happy tears. He's already talking about baby names and painting the nursery and all the ways he's going to be a great father. He's so excited, and I'm terrified. I blocked Marcus's number today. I have to move forward. I have to make this marriage work. I sat on the bedroom floor, the diary open in my lap, and I wept. Great. Heaving sobs that came from somewhere deep in my chest. My beautiful daughter, the light of my life. There was a chance she wasn't even mine. And Sarah, had made that choice for both of us. She had decided to keep this secret. She had decided not to do a paternity test. She had decided that I would never know the truth. She had taken away my right to know whether Emma was my biological child. I thought about the night Sarah told me she was pregnant. I'd cried, happy tears, the happiest moment of my life. I'd held her and talked about our future, about the family we were building, and all the while, she knew there was a chance the baby wasn't mine. How many nights had I lain awake during her pregnancy, my hand on her belly, talking to our baby? How many doctor's appointments had I attended, holding her hand, marveling at the ultrasound images? How many times had I told friends and family, "We're having a baby," when I might have been living a lie? I was furious. I was heartbroken. I was terrified. But I kept reading. I had to see how this ended. August 15th, 2024. I'm starting to show now. David is so attentive, so loving. He rubs my feet every night and talks to my belly. Sometimes I catch myself loving him again. Really loving him. And sometimes I catch myself wondering if this baby has Marcus's eyes. I made my choice. I have to live with it. I looked up Marcus's social media today. I shouldn't have, but I did. He posted a picture from his New Mexico residency. Desert landscapes, vibrant colors. He looks happy. Maybe he's moved on faster than I have. I have to move on too. For David, for this baby, for myself. September 15th, 2024. David came home with a stack of parenting books today. He's read 3 already. He's highlighting passages and making notes. That's David. Thorough, prepared, responsible. He asked me if I was scared about becoming a parent. I said yes. He held me and said we'd figure it out together. I wanted to tell him I'm scared for different reasons than he thinks. September 30th, 2024. David set up the nursery. Yellow walls because we want to be surprised about the gender. He's so proud of it. He showed me every detail, explained his color choices, his furniture placement. It's perfect. He's perfect. Why wasn't that ever enough for me? I stood in the doorway watching him assemble the crib, following the instructions step by step, and I realized something. Marcus would have thrown away the instructions and tried to figure it out himself, probably getting it wrong, probably laughing about it. David follows every instruction carefully, makes sure everything is safe, makes sure everything is perfect. I chose the right man. I chose the right father, even if he might not be the biological one. October 20th, 2024. I felt the baby kick for the first time today. Strong, unmistakable. David put his hand on my belly and waited, so patient, until he felt it too. The look on his face. Pure joy. Pure love. This is his child. Biology doesn't matter. This baby is already his. November 12th, 2024. Emma was born today, 7 pounds 3 ounces, perfect in every way. David held her and said she has my eyes. I couldn't tell if I was relieved or disappointed. She's beautiful. She's healthy. That's what matters. The nurse handed her to David first because I was still being stitched up. I watched him hold her, tears streaming down his face, and I knew I'd made the right choice. He's her father. He's always been her father. I'm going to be the best mother I can be, the best wife I can be. My past with Marcus is just that, the past. This is my family now. This is my future. November 20th, 2024. It's 3 a.m. and I'm up feeding Emma. David offered to help, but I told him to sleep. He has work tomorrow. I'm watching her tiny face as she feeds, and I'm looking for signs. Does she have David's nose, Marcus's eyes? But she's too young. She just looks like a baby. Maybe that's a blessing. Maybe I'll never see Marcus in her features. Maybe she'll just be Emma, our daughter, and the question mark will fade away. December 25th, 2024. Emma's first Christmas. David went overboard with presents, even though she's too young to care. He set up the tree, hung her stocking, took 100 photos. I held Emma this morning while David made Christmas breakfast, and I made a promise to her. I will never let my mistakes touch you. You will grow up loved and secure, with two parents who adore you. The secrets I carry are mine alone. You'll never know that there was ever any doubt. This is my penance, this is my burden, and I'll carry it gladly if it means protecting you and your father. Then, the entries after Emma's birth were sporadic, mostly about sleepless nights, feeding schedules, the challenges of new parenthood. And through it all, descriptions of me being a doting father, a supportive husband completely oblivious to the bomb ticking away in our lives. February 14th, 2025. Emma is 3 months old. David planned a Valentine's Day dinner at home. He made my favorite pasta from scratch, set the table with candles, bought me flowers. A year ago, I would have found it boring, predictable. Tonight, I found it beautiful. Marcus emailed me yesterday. I don't know how he got my email address. He said he's back from New Mexico, that he thinks about me sometimes, that he hopes I'm happy. I didn't respond. I deleted it. I chose to delete it. I'm choosing David every day now, not out of obligation or safety, but because I genuinely want to. When did that change? When did I fall back in love with my husband? April 1st, 2025. Emma smiled at David today, a real big smile, and he literally dropped his coffee in excitement. He called his parents, sent photos to everyone we know, acted like our daughter had just won a Nobel Prize. This is who David is. He finds joy in the small moments. He celebrates the everyday miracles. Marcus was exciting, but David is present. Marcus made me feel alive in fleeting moments, but David makes me want to build a life. I finally understand the difference. May 10th, 2025. 1 year ago today, I ended things with Marcus. 1 year ago, I chose to try to save my marriage. It's been the hardest year of my life, carrying this secret, but also the most rewarding. David has changed too, or maybe I'm just finally seeing him clearly. He's been more spontaneous, more engaged, more emotionally present. Last weekend he surprised me with a picnic in the park. No planning, no schedule, just threw some food in a basket and said, "Let's go." He's trying, I'm trying, we're building something real. June 15th, 2025. Emma rolled over today, both ways. David captured it on video and we must have watched it 50 times. I realized something as I was watching him play with her on the floor. I haven't thought about Marcus in weeks, maybe months. That chapter of my life feels like it belonged to someone else, some other version of Sarah who was lost and searching and didn't know what she had. I know what I have now. I have everything. The last entry was from 2 weeks ago, July 1st, 2025. Emma is 8 months old. She has David's smile. She has David's laugh. She even has his dimples. Every day she looks more like him, and every day I feel the weight of my secret getting lighter. She's his daughter. I know it now. I can feel it. Not just in her features, but in the way she calms down when he holds her, the way she lights up when he comes home, the way she already adores her father. I saw Marcus yesterday, from a distance. He was with someone new, a woman with red hair, and they were laughing. I felt nothing. Not jealousy, not regret, nothing. That chapter of my life is closed. I love David. I really do love him. Maybe not the same way I loved him when we were 22, but it's deeper now, more real. He's my partner, my co-parent, my best friend. That has to be enough. That is enough. I'm never telling him about Marcus. Some secrets should stay buried. Some mistakes should stay in the past. David deserves to live without knowing. Emma deserves to have a father who adores her without doubt. And I deserve to carry this guilt as penance for what I did. Maybe one day I'll forgive myself, but for now, I'm just trying to be worthy of the family I almost destroyed. I closed the diary and sat in silence. The house was quiet except for the ticking of the clock on the wall. Sarah would be home from yoga in 20 minutes. Emma would wake from her nap in an hour. I looked at the diary in my hands. my wife's confessions, my wife's affair, my wife's secrets, but also my wife's choice. She chose me. She chose our family. And Emma. Emma was mine. Every smile, every laugh, every dada that came from her perfect little mouth. She was mine. I thought about everything I'd read, the affair, the lies, the uncertainty, but also the growth, the choice, the love that had returned, deeper and more real than before. Sarah had carried this secret alone for over a year. She'd chosen to protect me, to protect Emma, to protect our family. Was that selfish? Was that loving? Maybe it was both. I thought about confronting her. I imagined the scene, throwing the diary on the table, demanding answers, demanding a paternity test. I imagined the look on her face when she realized I knew. I imagined everything crumbling, and what would that accomplish? Emma would still be the same baby. Sarah and I would still have to decide if our marriage was worth saving. The only difference would be that we'd both be carrying the burden of this knowledge. Some truths don't set you free. Some truths just hurt. I stood up and walked to the nursery. Emma was still sleeping, her tiny chest rising and falling with each breath. I saw my dimples on her cheeks. I saw Sarah's nose. I saw our daughter, the product of our love, our second chance. She was mine. Biology be damned. She was mine. I'd been there for every moment. I'd changed her diapers, paced the floor with her at 3 a.m., sang her silly songs, counted her tiny toes. I was her father. A DNA test couldn't change that, and if I demanded that test, if I couldn't let this go, I'd be choosing my need for certainty over Emma's need for a stable, loving home. I'd be choosing my wounded pride over my daughter's well-being. I wouldn't do that to her. I wouldn't do that to myself. Walking back to the bedroom, I lifted the floorboard and placed the diary back in its hiding place, exactly as I'd found it. Then I pressed the board down firmly. Some secrets should stay buried, not because the truth isn't important, but because sometimes love requires sacrifice. Sometimes love means choosing what's best for the people you love over what your wounded ego demands. Sarah had made a choice to protect our family. Now I was making the same choice. When Sarah came home from yoga, I was in the kitchen making lunch. She kissed my cheek, smelling of jasmine and fresh air, and asked about my morning. I told her it was fine, that I'd found my watch, that everything was good, and, in a way, it was. Because we had a choice now, both of us. She had chosen to stay, to fight for our marriage in her own way, and I was choosing to let her secret remain a secret, to love her and Emma without the shadow of doubt hanging over us. "David," Sarah's voice pulled me from my thoughts. "Are you okay? You seem distant." I looked at my wife, really looked at her. The woman who had betrayed me. The woman who had chosen me. The woman I still loved despite everything. There were lines on her face I hadn't noticed before. Exhaustion from the sleepless nights with Emma. But also something else. Peace, maybe. Contentment. She looked at me with such openness, such trust. "I'm fine," I said, pulling her into a hug. "Just thinking about how lucky I am, how lucky we are." She hugged me back, and I felt her relax against me. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you too," I replied, and I meant it, because love isn't just passion and butterflies. It's choosing each other day after day. Even when it's hard, even when you're bored, even when you've made mistakes you can never undo. "You know," Sarah said, pulling back to look at me. "I was thinking we should do something spontaneous this weekend. No planning, no schedules, just see where the day takes us." I smiled. A year ago, that suggestion would have made me anxious. I liked plans. I liked knowing what to expect. But maybe Sarah had been right about some things. Maybe I had let routine become a cage. "I'd like that," I said. "Let's do it." Her face lit up in a way I hadn't seen in months. "Really?" "Really," I confirmed. "Spontaneous it is. You, me, and Emma. An adventure." She kissed me then, and I kissed her back, and for a moment, everything else fell away. The diary upstairs, the secrets between us, the questions I'd never ask. None of it mattered as much as this moment, this choice to love each other anyway. That night, after Emma was asleep and Sarah was reading in bed, I made a decision. I was going to be better, not because of what I'd read, but because our marriage deserved more. I was going to surprise her more, challenge her more, show her that stability and passion weren't mutually exclusive, but I was also going to trust more. Trust that sometimes people make mistakes and then work to correct them. Trust that love can survive betrayal if both people choose to heal. Trust that the life we were building together was worth protecting. I wasn't going to confront her about Marcus. I wasn't going to demand a paternity test for Emma. I was going to love my wife and daughter with everything I had and trust that sometimes the best way to heal is to move forward. "What are you thinking about?" Sarah asked, looking up from her book. "Us," I said honestly. "How we're stronger than I thought." She set her book down and reached for my hand. "We are. We really are. And maybe we were. Maybe surviving this, even if she never knew I knew, would make us stronger. Maybe the secret I carried would make me more understanding, more forgiving, more present. Or maybe I was just rationalizing. Maybe I was taking the easy way out, choosing ignorance over truth. But as I looked at my wife, at the mother of my child, at the woman I'd built a life with, I knew this was my choice to make. And I chose love. I chose our family. I chose to believe that Emma was mine in every way that mattered, but late at night when everyone was asleep, I'd think about that diary hidden beneath the floorboards. And I'd remember that the person you love most can break your heart in ways you never imagine. Yet somehow we survive, we heal, we choose love again. The diary remains where I found it. I've never looked at it again. Some truths are meant to stay hidden, locked away in the dark spaces beneath our lives. And every day when Emma laughs with my dimples and Sarah kisses me goodbye, I'm reminded that we're all carrying secrets. Some we share, some we take to our graves. 3 months have passed since that Tuesday morning. I never did make it to that client meeting. I called in sick, spent the day processing, thinking, deciding. The Henderson account went to someone else. It didn't matter. What mattered was the choice I made in our bedroom that morning. Sarah doesn't know that I know. She goes about her days loving Emma, loving me, building our life together. Sometimes I catch her looking at me with such tenderness, such gratitude, and I wonder if she can sense that something changed. But she doesn't ask, and I don't tell. We took that spontaneous weekend trip. No plans, no schedules. We drove up the coast, stopped at random beaches, ate at a tiny diner that served the best pancakes I'd ever tasted. Emma loved the ocean, squealing with delight every time the waves came in. Sarah took dozens of photos. "This is perfect," she said at one point, holding Emma on her hip, the wind blowing her hair. "This is everything I wanted." And I realized something. This was everything I wanted too. Not the perfect marriage, not the certainty of knowing every truth, but this messy, complicated, beautiful family we were building together. I still have moments of doubt. Late at night, I'll look at Emma sleeping and I'll wonder, does she have his eyes, his nose? But then she'll wake up and reach for me, calling Dada, and I'll remember that biology is just one small part of being a father. I changed her diapers. I walked her through her first weeks of life. I'm the one she calls for when she's scared. I'm the one she lights up for when I come home. I'm her father, regardless of what a DNA test might say. And Sarah. I watch her sometimes when she doesn't know I'm looking. I see her patience with Emma, her devotion to our family, the way she's chosen us every single day since Emma was born. I see the woman who made a terrible mistake and then did everything in her power to make it right. Is that enough? Can I live with never knowing for certain? Can I live with carrying this secret for the rest of my life? I honestly don't know. But I'm trying. We're both trying. Love, I've learned, isn't the absence of doubt. It's not about knowing everything, about perfect transparency, about never being hurt. Love is choosing someone anyway. It's deciding that the life you're building together is worth more than your need for absolute truth. Sarah chose to protect our family by keeping her secret. I chose to protect our family by keeping mine. We're both carrying burdens now. We're both choosing love over certainty. Maybe that makes us equals. Maybe that makes us both flawed people doing our best. Maybe that's what marriage really is. Not two perfect people, but two imperfect people deciding they're better together than apart. I found my wife's diary hidden in our bedroom. What I read inside shattered my heart, but it also taught me that love is more complicated, more resilient, and more forgiving than I ever knew. It taught me that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose to move forward, to choose hope over hurt, to choose the family you have over the certainty you crave. Is Emma mine? In every way that matters, yes. She is mine. Is my marriage perfect? No. It never was and it never will be. But is it worth fighting for? Every single day. And that, I suppose, is its own kind of truth.